I had to make this video because obviously no, after last night we already know the series is over. We kind of knew the series was over once game 7 was won in the Western Conference Finals and shit, and excuse me, and the Rockets pretty much wet the bed from the 3-point line with 7 for 44 or whatever. They obviously didn't learn from the mistake of the Boston Celtics, who shot 7 for 39, but they won it. But I'm gonna just get right into the title of this video. Like, are the Warriors really a great dynasty? Really a true dynasty? And my thing is like dynasty from what I remember. Dynasty from what I remember means 3 in a row, 3 straight championships. Obviously, that was Jordan in the 90s when he did it. When he did it a bunch of times. Obviously, that was Bill Russell when he did 11 out of 13 seasons. Anytime in between that, I can't forget about Shaq and Kobe, who, in my opinion, is the last true dynasty of the NBA. In my opinion, like, not even saying nothing on Shaq. Not even saying I'm not even a Shaq or a Kobe fan, but that arguably is the greatest finals team, the greatest finals duo of all time, bro. Like, I gotta say that because the way that Golden State plays, and you can see it, bro. The way that Golden State plays, it takes a team really defensive minded because nobody on their team is a great ball handler. I saw it in the Rocket series. I definitely saw it in the Rocket series. That was exposed right away. Nobody on their team is great ball handlers. They just move the ball around until they get a good layup, until they get a freebie or a layup and run backdoor screens on lazy defensive teams. If you're not a lazy defensive team, you could beat the Warriors. It's been proven. If you're not a lazy defensive team, if you don't play lazy defense, you can beat the Warriors. They are beatable. That's why I'm asking, are they really a great dynasty? Are they really a true dynasty? And even a better question is, are they really a great team? How much credit do you get for playing the same team 4 years in a row and beating them 3 out of 4 times? 2 times with a nigga that had y'all down 3-1 and decided that he didn't want to go see him. He didn't want to go see them just cause he ain't felt like he had enough help. You know what I'm saying? Like, because nothing that the Golden State Warriors did in the last 4 years is impressive to me, other than the 73 wins. But they lost. They blew that. They supposed to have 3 straight championships right now. It was fixed. You could call on a Draymond suspension for that. Whether it was fixed or not fixed, they still had a better team than Cleveland ever had. And Curry and Klay Thompson basically wet the bed. They basically, the true identity of who Golden State was last night. They basically a team. They original stars. They original core players. I'm talking about Curry, Draymond, and Klay. They really just amped up role players. That's all they really are. And Kevin Durant is just like amped up role player. Just so happens to average 27 points for his career. They really one-dimensional, amped up role players. And everything that I said about Golden State was true. Last night, they all leaned on Kevin Durant. Never mind the backdoor cuts to the backdoor layups and cuts to the basket on a team that is terrible defensively on switches. But that's what they did. But how great are the Warriors really? They winning, but they beating the same teams. Fun fact, bro, like, the one thing I could say about Jordan, like, he gave the NBA time to get their shit together. Jordan gave the NBA at least 2 years to get their shit together. And the only team that was able to do something in those in them 2 years of absence, in the year that he came back in that late 95 and played and lost to Orlando, was the Houston Rockets and the Hakeem Olajuwon. After that, Jordan pretty much said, fuck it, man. Let me just take over the league. The Utah Jazz team that Jordan beat, the very next year, after Jordan's last championship, they were projected to win the Western. They were projected to win the NBA championship because there wasn't nobody else in the way. There was nobody else in the way. Once Jordan was gone, hey, yo, Utah could win it. I think the Knicks I want to say Miami was projected to win the East, and they lost to the Knicks in the first round. They lost to the Knicks in the first round a few times, actually. But back in those days, remind you, Shaq and Kobe had already been together since 96, 97, 98. So they was around to watch Jordan last three-peat. And after that, you know, a lot of the experts or whatever, anybody that really analyzes videos is going to say the Utah Jazz of the late 90s died off or they got too old. That was far from. The truth is they were overrun by a new generation. A new generation of elite talent and elite champions. The first person to win a championship after the Jordan championship era was Tim Duncan and the San Antonio Spurs in 99. It was a lockout season, but they won it. You know, a lot of people keep saying, like, the Mavericks won because they lockout season. I suspected Miami was going to win, but, you know, it's all right for LeBron to lose with a big three. Like, it's all right for LeBron to have a big three and lose, but somehow them niggas having a big three loses, whatever. But getting off the topic, the Spurs had one after that in 99. And then in 2000 was the beginning of the last true dynasty in the NBA. Because a dynasty to me is a three-peat, as far as I remember. So I go on and say 2000, 2001, and 2002, Shaq and Kobe ran off 3 straight. Boom. And then after that, it was like, all right, yo, then the NBA became uber competitive because you had the Spurs win 1, Detroit win 1, Spurs win 1. I think Miami won 1, Spurs win 1, then Boston won 1. And then Kobe ran off the last 3. But we could say that the Utah Jazz of the late 90s got old, or they got old, or they just died off or whatever. Well, that was far from the truth. They got killed off by a newer generation. As far as the last 4 years of the Warriors titles, and I bring that up because the last 4 years of the Warriors titles, the last team to get out of the West before this Warriors team in the last 4 years was the San Antonio Spurs, who did not get beat by the Warriors. They did not lose to the Warriors during that time. If I'm not mistaken, the Warriors' record against the Spurs in the Duncan era is probably under 200. In the Duncan era, them niggas was stinking. The Warriors did not have nothing for them. And they had Curry since 2009. Those are facts. Coming into the 2015 playoffs, the Spurs lost to the Clippers in 7 games, which I think is probably one of the greatest playoff series of all time. I swear it was. I watched every last one of them games, man. That was a great fucking series. But they lost to the damn Slippers, who everybody after that series, everybody expected that the Clippers was gonna win the NBA. The Clippers was gonna at least win the West. They were at least gonna win the West. Nobody was paying attention to Golden State during that time, bro. Like, they won 60 games, but nobody really took them seriously. As far as I remember, like, the Warriors never played no elite championship team to get to where they are. They didn't. The first year they played the Pelicans, they didn't have Drew Holiday. They would have been playing Oklahoma City had it not been for the Spurs losing a game to control the standings and pretty much move Oklahoma City out of the playoffs. So their first championship, Oklahoma City wasn't even in the playoffs. And it was by 1 game. And that's because Kevin Durant got hurt. So thinking about everything that the Warriors did in the last 4 years, none of it was impressive to me. None of it. Even though they did have their original team. But the fact of the matter is, bro, like, 3 championship teams had to die off for the Warriors to get where they are today. They died off. It wasn't like back in the 90s, in the late 90s, when the Utah Jazz was projected to win titles and they got killed off. The Lakers, the Spurs, and the Mavericks, they all died off. They got old. They all got old, which is the truth. The fact of the matter is, the Warriors never beat a Spurs team with Kawhi Leonard and Tim Duncan in the lineup. They never beat them. The 2 times that they beat them this year, earlier this year and last year, who they had? They had Aldridge. Hell, they beat Aldridge when he was in Portland. They beat James Harden countless times. They beat C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard countless times. None of those teams are championship teams. I'm talking about the championship teams of the West. And the Warriors, if I'm not mistaken, they was making the playoffs back in 2013. This is before they had Iggy. This is when Draymond was getting crossed up by Andre Miller. And the only playoff series that they won, they only won 1 playoff series before they won the championship. Before they got Steve Kerr. When they had Mark Jackson, they only won 1 playoff series. And that was against the Denver Nuggets. When supposedly, who did they have on their team? Andre Iguodala. They lost to the Spurs in the next round. And then the next year, the last team that eliminated them from the finals was the Los Angeles Slippers in 7 games. That was the game Mark Jackson knew he was going to be fired. It got to be hard for a nigga like Mark Jackson sitting on the side, sitting at commentary, doing these finals for the last 4 years. I wouldn't have did it. Me personally. I wouldn't have did it. But to Steve Kerr's credit, he helped Klay Thompson and Draymond become great two-way players. Not great two-way players, but good enough two-way players to get them niggas over. They first championship, man, like they played the Pelicans, the Grizzlies, and the Rockets to get out of the West. Pelicans didn't have Drew Holiday. Memphis didn't have Conley. Rockets didn't have Patrick Beverly. And the LeBron team that they beat that year didn't have Kevin Love or Kyrie Irving. So now they come in the next season, they cocky. They real. They cocky. They want 73 wins. Boom. Right out of the way. They down 3-1 to Oklahoma City. How does that series end? Kevin Durant, who was in the Oklahoma City jersey, helps them come back by stinking up the bed in the last 3 losses. Kevin Durant was in the Oklahoma City Thunder jersey, helping the Warriors win the fucking West. Then they go play Cleveland again. They better than them. They up 3-1. Draymond gets suspended. They lose a game. All right. Then they go back home. Not only do they lose 1 game at home, they lose 2 games at home. Curry and Klay Thompson was dead awful. Had they would have won that series, I would probably respect them as a dynasty. But then again, if they won that series, they probably wouldn't have Kevin Durant. So, had they would have won that series, the series where they won 73, the season where they won 73 games, I declare it. Had the Warriors would have won a championship that year, when they had 73 wins, I could honestly say that they are the greatest team of all time. I'll probably go on to say they one of the greatest dynasties of all time. But it didn't happen. 3 teams in the past 8 years have been to 4 straight NBA Finals. The Heat, the Cavaliers, and the Warriors. The Heat won 2 out of 4. It's not good enough. And the Warriors is about to win 3 out of 4. The Warriors is about to win 3 out of 4. And they're supposed to win all 4 because they was better than every last one of them Cavaliers teams that they played. They lost game 5. I think LeBron and Kyrie both put up 40 each. I ain't gonna lie, my nigga. That right there could beat the Warriors. They lost game 6, and then they lost game 7 at home. They lost game 5 and 7 at home. And they won 73 games that year. There's no excuse. They supposed to have 4 championships right now. But they don't because they wet the bed. So how great are the Warriors really? They pretty much had it laid out for them niggas to win. They're like the NBA pretty much laid it out for them niggas to win all of these championships. Because they didn't do nothing about the Kevin Durant signing. And they won these last 2. They probably gonna win the next year's one. If they win it next year, then I'll give it to. I'll probably give them as a dynasty. But they can't beat Cleveland. They gotta beat somebody else. They gotta beat OKC at full strength. They gotta beat another top Western Conference team that can compete. It has to be a team out of the East that can legitimately compete with them. in order for me to declare that. I can't declare it. And I don't want no niggas to get on it. I don't want no Golden State niggas to get on this video and start talking who your team is. That y'all don't have a team. Shut up. Real nigga out dig, man.